I'll show you my generator. It receives 11 amps and gives back 10. 1 amp short of perpetual motion, but in the future I'll do it. I'm perfectly sure. We realized there is an error which must be corrected. Now it's just require, like this window, some photo element cell, solar panel. To add 1 amp, it is insignificant. And please, you're in the country, you do not need wind turbine, combustion engine. You don't need anything. You turn on this motor, generator. Inside it has motor. And on the outer part, multi-pole generator. Frequency varies greatly. 35 Hz motor rotates 670 to 700 Hz generator. Overlap is colossal. Fairly easy movement, and that's it. Generator charges powerful batteries. They are 2 of 90 amp hours. To these 24 volt, 2 batteries, connected so-called pure sine. Novosibirsk makes it. Usual inverter. Quite right. So, from 24 volts it converts energy to 220. They are 4 to 8 kilowatts. With this I started. I made by request of the Azerbaijan government. I have the letter with the seals and everything. It's Mr. Alek Brev, he been here. And I made them 10 kilowatt unit at 220 volts. It was my mistake, but they liked it. That is, directly 220, not 24, but directly 220. As they explained to me from Sochi Technical Expertise Bureau, they've been here, Lugansky. He called Sochi's Rutherford, articles about him. So, he said, this is a mistake. It is necessary to convert the energy down to 24 volt. And here's why. As soon as you leave the house, you have to cut down this all. And this pause is useless, and if it's 24 volts and big accumulators, here, you can put capacitors. They have an infinite number of charge-discharge. And the generator buzzing, and this pause, at night when nothing plugged in. It allows you to fill the reservoirs with coulombs, and then you turn on this pure sine and use. At 220 you cannot do this, you must either turn it on or off. And at the loss of this pause in time, it will not be filled, and here it is full, constantly. If wind turbine, it's just perfect. Now you put here this motor, not 10 kilowatts. Which I did for Azerbaijan, but this, 1.5 kilowatt. I put it on the wind turbine. It is very easy to rotate. And all the time it recharges these batteries. It's the same thing that I told you about the reserve and working battery on the bike. And here is a huge time savings. On 220 I was sure I was right. Just as you reasoned, why conversion? It is always a loss of efficiency. This is conversion, if take smart approach to it. As well as here, first we make 24 volt storage and batteries. And then through the inverter device, it is like a shoebox. Novosibirsk makes 6 kilowatts, 6 irons can be plugged. Never happens. Maybe a few teapots. And you are virtually unplugged from the world. One thing, you will have to change the batteries. In a 5 years, or that's better to buy not a batteries. You are right, capacitors. This is the motor, which is embedded in the heart of my generator. We will demonstrate it later. What is different about this motor from a conventional design, even under huge loads? I'm going to try to hold it more than 10 amps. It does not draw. So there will be 40 to 50 Newton meters, crazy torque. But I'll repeat again, 70 Newton meters is our Lada Kalina. 70. But this small motor develops 35 to 40. This is a very big torque. Now instrument shows 1.5. Is it pulse inertial quantum motor? The current jumps. It's okay. It has no dead pauses. But holding it. Look, 8 to 9, 10 to 11. Nothing will ever happen to it. Already the scent of burning rubber. What it demonstrates. A huge advantage of this motor at low power. Well, what is even 10 amps multiplied by 36 volts? 360 watts by Ohm's law. Yes, that's all. And now I'll show you how this motor spinning the generator. See here, this little motor, which I just demonstrated, is embedded inside in here. On the outer part is multi-pole, about 600 to 700 Hz, rather high frequency, multi-pole generator, constantly charging these powerful batteries. To these batteries connected pure sine inverter. It converts 24 volts to 220. There are devices 4, 6, 8 kilowatts. Now look, nearly 10 amps. It will now decrease, because the battery is charging. And here too, 9 to 10. See, will also decrease, because here the charge current. And it turns out that perpetual motion lacking 1 amp. 1 amp. To make a self-loop. But for this sufficient to put a solar panel, only 60 centimeters per meter, which will complement. And you're at your cottage in the country. Have a power plant neither of wind nor of gasoline engines. And you're energizing your cottage. And it has a great longevity, because here only bearings can fail, but they have a huge lifespan. The goal was set to calculate the generator for one house, so it generates 6 to 8 kilowatts. Not more. I certainly can make larger diameter and widen the generator, and of course it'll work. It would be self-sustained? Sure. They say Bedini has already done this. He's Italian-American. Now this is the most important question, why you didn't. Because I just did not have enough time. Firstly, this is the first motor generator. The very first. I only had time to patent generator, and began to build it at once. Now I know. I tested it on a motorcycle, where in front a wheel generator, and in the rear a wheel motor. I drove 300 kilometers or 186 miles and could still ride more. These tests have shown that it is possible, over there due to the inertia of rolling I'm getting this energy return. But here, due to the fact that the generator frequency is greater at about 10 to 12 times than the frequency of the motor. So the generator is running at 700, or even 800 Hz. The motor at 35 to 40, at most as in the grid 50 Hz. You know, DC motor, I showed it to you. It's a new type of motor, the asymmetric pulse motor, which is not afraid of any loads. Even if attempt to stop it to the end. What they did in the lab of electromechanical devices and automation of MPEI, Moscow Power Engineering Institute, it develops an insane torque 60 Newton meters. Only 500 to 300 watt motor develops around 46 to 58 Newton meters. This is not about the money, but time. Once previous sponsors started by sell policy, they literally stood behind my back. Man, here's the money, here's all, give us the bike. They gone, snatched, stuck money in the pockets, and I literally did not had any time. literally, no time to distract. So I could calmly build generator. That's now 9 months I was out of job. Well, goodness, I have enough money. I'm all right. I can live without any job. And this motor I made just because I was left without a sponsor, without team, and now I can put team together anew. And during this time, it was such a break, I put together a cool engine for a quadricycle. Speed motor assembled for the bike, you rode it, and finally, the motor generator. That's what I included now in the program of my future work with LLC Ecomotor. Once these issues were agreed and entered into an agreement, that time for creativity provided. That the job I was doing all these years, 36 years, almost everyday work from 1975 to the present day, enrolled in after-graduate studies, immediately began to work on the technical variant units. Therefore it will be self-sustained initial start device. For now we using solar, as small, in order to equalize, but we not far from it. It will be made very soon, very. We'll enforce this generator, will make engine more flexible. Now, 1 second, it's 2 piston. So the 2 phases. This error we'll also correct. It is necessary to do at least 3 pistons. I made 2, been greedy. There are only 2 running solenoids here. That's why it runs off from center line. The 3 would now go smoothly. But this is the clue why it does not work out on the self-loop. It will be necessary to make it smooth, flexible. Look, I have to turn it on without PWM like that. 12 and 24 volts. In idle mode it shows more than 1, up to 2 amps. I begin to break it, as if I had turned on the generator, because one, similar to this motor, mounted in that common housing, currents typically 10, 20, 30 amps, and here, well, just bit more than 10 to 11, and here it show us 10 amps. Right, rubber already started to burn. Torque, crazy. It's possible to measure torque. Yes, this is what they are doing at MPEI. We brought motors with our engineer, whole month testing. There is expert conclusion. Very well written. Is this the perpetual motion? Is this the element of what everyone is looking for? Dream to have in every house? Well, basically I can tell you that tests have shown. We measured separately Newton meters of motors in MPEI. And now calculated, there is a mathematical model that we worked out well, which proves that if competently, with the good parts, not the junk parts we picked up on dumpsters, make motor and generator separately, there is no need to compensate for this missing 1 amp. 1 amp is nothing, it's a sensation. Yeah, so then we can make a really self-sustained motor generator that will give light, electricity to homes, greenhouses, etc. When I had these lesions with the Minister of Innovation, with Frid Mansman, I come to this idea, to take it and make it, this publication of which you speak, where I reveal all the know-how. Take a single patent, the motor generator, and simple proposition, already as a merchant, I say, who will pay $50, will get it all, and I would have been enriched by the way, because of people like you, a lot, and they want, hundreds, came here from Samara, and from Kaliningrad, a groups, so they say, man, open this all, and we will start to make it on our small. First I would be enriched immediately, from the world by penny, $50 per set of documents. Here we would make bunch of copies and list of know-how and forward, and finally, when this release starts, the large scale, in that time we would have built here a new model, improved, and we would never have fall behind, not from the West, not from anyone.